Today, on This American Dice, what can we find at the scene of a murder? What can we find by not merely investigating the city, but divining the wills of the spirits that reside there? And what happens when a soul, bent on vengeance, can't leave this world? Find out what happens today on This American Dice.
We see some establishing shots, and I think we kind of see some, it's the early morning. We see some peasants some commoners, some servants kind of getting ready in your place, kind of putting things together. But then we see a shot of some of your rooms, and those rooms are empty. Oh. All right. We see a shot. Yeah, we see a shot outside of the noble quarter, and again, there's some. Maybe two samurai kind of walking down the road, just chatting with one another. You see some thunder guard that are kind of standing watch, or even just patrolling back and forth through this area. And then we see the Gate of Condescension, the gate that leads into the merchant quarter and into the downhill, the neighborhood, the richest neighborhood of the merchant quarter, which is closest to the Little Gate, which is protected by this area is protected by the Little Gate firemen. You guys had discussed that how you suspected Narutoki's death had something to do with these firemen.
Yeah, we had pegged the firemen like a while ago, but then we kind of discussed it.
No one has made an effort to talk to the Little Gate firemen. Who's there doing this?
I have been working on checking off the list. Maybe I missed a thing, such as talking to the firemen.
I could be there. Can I have Big Boy with me?
Toan Ishii?
Big Dumb Boy?
Ample?
Ample.
Oh, that boy? Did we even hire him, or did we just promise and then leave?
You guys talked about it.
I've got 5 wealth now.
All right.
Does that work?
Sure. Yeah. So mark off a wealth. You've hired Ample for a month. Mm-hmm. Is he just a bodyguard, or is he a deputy? What are you calling him?
He wants to be a deputy.
I don't know what the difference is, honestly. He isn't he wouldn't be a magistrate even as a deputy, but he refers to himself as a deputy.
I'd probably hire him as a Yojimbo.
Okay.
But is anyone else with me?
Do you need Blacko? I'm down.
All right. So Aji, Tayo, Ample, Ishii Yugure.
I don't know.
Sure. Just all go.
All right.
I don't know.
I guess we can just all go.
Make an outing out of it.
All right.
Make a day.
Act as a cohesive unit.
For once
Brought
in
a
our
picnic
lives.
basket.
Mm-hmm.
The Apple's carrying it.
Oh, I got it.
We see a city on a lush river surrounded by miles of fields of red poppies. Immediately around the city are green limestone walls. A group of traveling monks heads north toward the city on a main road. The monks are met by peasants along the way who offer alms in exchange for blessings and prayers. The camera flies towards Ryoko Owari Toshi, over its green walls and into the noble quarter. We see beautiful houses, a grand and imposing palace, and a foreign mansion that stands out among the traditional architecture. We pass over the north wall into the temple quarter where the city's population pays their respects to the fortunes, their ancestors, and countless other spirits. The temple of Amaterasu, the sun goddess, and the temple of Daikoku, the fortune of wealth, almost shine in the bright day. Moving west, we see the busy streets of the merchant quarter, crowded with vendors selling goods from all over the Emerald Empire, and even some from beyond. We cross over the Bay of Drowned Honor, passing fishing boats, cargo barges, and the pleasure crafts of the wealthy to arrive in the fisherman's quarter. As the name suggests, the docks are swarming with men and women unloading their catches, but they are joined by burly porters. The quarter is much dirtier, the buildings closer together and shabbier. We see 2 groups of rough men in an altercation. We head south, swiftly passing over the flat gray leatherworkers' quarter, the home of the Eta, the Untouchables. The only building that stands out is the city's crematorium, which belches forth thick, black smoke. When we arrive back at the river, we slowly float southeast to the licensed quarter. Calmly lit in the twilight glow of hanging lanterns, we see samurai patronizing fine sake and geisha houses. We see a man in a basket hat approach an open door as he is beckoned in by a beautiful geisha. Once inside, he removes his hat to reveal he was the monk from the beginning. Closing the door, the geisha looks at the camera and mouths, "Secrets." Ryoko Owari, City of Lies. Executive producer, Jessica HBO.
You guys go there and start asking around, and the Little Gate firemen have kind of their headquarters nearest to the near the intersection that's called Seven Corners, and it is the
Hell of an intersection.
I know.
Damn, son.
It's the crazily busy intersection.
Why?
It's just clogged with, it's just like clogged with traffic. And so this area is very, very nice. And in fact, a lot of the merchants here kind of cater to samurai and stuff samurai need. So there's sword polishers and different blacksmiths and that kind of stuff. There's people that, far more people who sell things that wealthy samurai would purchase than any other area in the city. There are still sake houses, there are still tea houses, but they're things that cater towards samurai rather than commoners. You might see commoners in there, but they are then very wealthy commoners.
So this is all like the tourist trap for all the samurai that go to the license quarter?
Kind of, yeah. Or like if you need to do your shopping, this is where you would go if you're doing your shopping. Mm-hmm. If you're not just sending your servants to go do it. So, but you get kind of into more the thick of things in the downhill, and it gets over to the seven corners. And there's kind of a smaller sake house, and outside you see their symbol, which not surprisingly is just a gate. It almost looks like a Stonehenge-esque kind of shape that's drawn into like on a curtain that acts as the door to the sake house.
What are those? Oh, a mon, right? So, what that is?
Yeah. So if they had a mon, it would be this.
Oh, yeah.
And are you guys all badged up, or are you coming in incognito?
I'm definitely badged up.
Yeah,
I think with the four of us, that
would be tough.
recognizable.
Yeah.
You head into this place, and some of the firemen are. You notice that in the other places that you have seen, and Ishii, I think you noticed this because you have wandered around the fisherman's quarter the most, and I feel you've encountered more of the firemen than other people. Mm-hmm. In especially the fisherman's quarter, there's a lot of these dudes just hanging around.
Yeah? Yeah, please.
They are not so in the downhill. So you'll see, even when you go to the area that maybe some Thunder Guard told you that's where their headquarters is, you go there and there aren't just like a bunch of these guys hanging around. You go and you're like welcomed in by like the equivalent of like a hostess, and you can kind of come in, and it seems just like a regular tea house. I think it's a tea house, sake house kind of. It does.
Like
it serves both.
or like low?
It's not as nice as some of the other places, but it's pretty nice still. And somebody asks you if you want to sit down and if you want anything to drink. And I assume you guys are down with that.
Yeah, I'll some tea.
All right. And what is it that you're after you order and they kind of just bring you some tea or some sake? You seem to be left to. You're at a restaurant or at a bar and you ordered your drinks. There you go, fellas. You're not bothered. These folks very much seem like they're running a regular tea house.
Are there a bunch of firemen sitting around inside the tea house, or does it just look like normal ass, like kind of samurai patrons?
Ooh, that sounds like you're making a read a situation.
Sure, I'll read a situation.
First roll of the game.
That's fine.
All right, 12. Not a bad roll.
No.
I forgot that you're extremely good at that.
What should I be on lookout for if I'm looking for firemen?
You kind of look around and notice that as you've wandered through this area, there aren't folks who are kind of so brazenly strutting about with this stuff. The strong-arm firemen will often have that big muscly bicep, like either as a tattoo or they'll have it like as a symbol on their clothing. The fire eaters,
They only lift with one arm.
yeah, they have one really jacked arm. The other arm is like a weird little flail, flabby noodle.
It's part of their code.
Yeah.
I have to do that.
The fire eaters usually either have like flame tattoos or carry some kind of like almost like a bandana that might have like flame print on it or like embroidery.
Those spicy.
They're eating very
Cheetos.
spicy food, yeah. They're dangerously cheesy. And then the Moment's Edge firemen carry those kind of like those horns to kind of sound alarms. And all those guys, like I said, are often much more hanging around places. You have not really seen almost any of these folks. And possibly when you go by, you do see somebody who like leaves with like multiple buckets. And
Empty bucket?
yeah, like empty buckets, like pails. These guys, one of the things you should be on the lookout for is these guys don't operate seemingly the same way the other firemen do. And you notice that one of like you notice that you saw this guy as you came in here, as you passed by like a blacksmith shop, and you're like, oh shit. Unlike those other firemen, these dudes have actual jobs. And so that's one of the things that, like, these guys seem to operate differently as opposed to being, like, they're firemen all the time. They seem to also have other jobs.
Can I like hold some of these questions for later? Because I don't think I'd be able to get real answers while I'm just sitting in a socket house. Pretty much the only one is who's in control here. Like, to find out who's the leader, but I don't think he's here
Okay.
in this house.
I'm going to say sure. I know that we're not supposed to do that, but yeah, we'll see. You can hold this stuff for now. All right. And, yeah, you guys are kind of left to your own devices for a while to drink your tea or sake. You kind of implied it's in the morning, but you can do what you want.
So, Abel, has Naratoka ever brought you here?
I didn't expect people along on this trip. I mean,
I think we came here one time.
who did you guys talk to when you were here? Do you remember?
Oh,
Shit.
it's like they had a guy who was in charge. You could just ask for the guy in charge, and they'll tell you. He's the one that the head of him.
And you'd be able to recognize this person?
Maybe.
I think you should ask for the man in charge, Toan.
Alright, yeah, sure. So maybe the next time the server brings a drink over or something. So, like, when you have a moment, can you bring us the, and just look at Ample, like, the man in charge?
She says, of the sake house?
No,
do you mean? Of the fireman.
the fireman.
Oh, Hiroshi. And Abel goes, that sounds right. And she's like, oh, well, he's out checking. He's out checking on the reservoirs. He'll be back later today, I'm sure. We could send for him, or I could just, if you want, I could tell you where those reservoirs are.
feel like making a trip with the group?
What are the reservoirs?
She says, "Oh, the reservoirs for water for the firefighters.
No, so like
They're just wells. Yeah,
Rotos and shit.
yeah."
That might not be a right thing to see.
Take the walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know where this is.
All right. She tells you where like 3 or 4 of them are, where it would likely be that where he might be.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, nothing crazy. So you guys head out, and at maybe like the second or third one, yeah, you run into a man who is very clearly like looking this thing over and being, but maybe like fixing it slightly, being like, oh, this grate fell off. All right, I got to put this back on top of this barrel.
Not great at all.
Yeah, and it's almost like a very large. Now you're fired. A very large barrel that, like when rain runs off of a roof, it runs into this barrel.
Yeah, rain barrel.
Yeah, but it's pretty darn big. So not.
Like as big as this room.
Not quite. I was gonna say
Like a 55-gallon barrel, or like twice the size of 55-gallon?
I think it's
Like a
probably a
2-liter?
little bit bigger than like a 55-gallon barrel. It's like a big barrel. Yeah, so he is a man who appears to be in his...
He's not in our book, right?
Say again?
He's not in our book thing.
No, he's not. He's essentially not important enough probably to be listed in there. Or maybe he didn't have a relationship well enough with the folks who wrote your sources. So, Asako Oshiba Shonagon is her name, or Matsu Shigeko. So he seems to be a man in his early 40s or late 30s. He's not particularly big. He's not particularly imposing. He doesn't look particularly mean. And he is, just fixing the grate on top of this thing, and he is completely by himself. And I think as he kind of fixes that, he like pats it and he says like, "There we go." And somebody comes by and waves to him, and he's like, "Hello. Hello, neighbor." And they kind of wander by.
Hiroshi, I presume?
"Oh, hello. Oh, hello." And he kind of bows to you guys. He's like, welcome, gentlemen. Magistrates.
Looks like you're a little busy, but if you could take a break, we were wondering if we could chat with you for a bit.
Oh, certainly. I'm just making my rounds to check these different reservoirs, but I could certainly...
I see you're doing an excellent job.
Oh, thank you.
Is there a place that we could talk, or?
If you'd like. And he says, if you need some refreshments, we could head back to that sake house. All right, so you guys kind of stroll, but you can kind of Sorkin-esque walk and talk as you're going down the road.
As you must be aware, the Little Gate's a very important part of the city, especially to Emerald Magistrates, seeing as how we are in charge of what's the word for like protecting somebody that doesn't belong here, like foreign dignitaries or whatever. That concept of words, and as you must be aware, you guys are the first line of law enforcement here, since the Thunder Guard does not regularly patrol these streets.
And he says, so they do a fine job.
Of course, but you and your group, your clan, your whatever.
It's like the other. It's like
the other firefighters are very important to us in the city, and so we just wanted to check in with you and to make sure that everything was going well.
Oh well. Yes, absolutely. Certainly Glad to see you gentlemen taking an interest in this. We do our best to keep this place safe from fires. I mean, the Thunder Guard take care of criminals and that sort of thing, and policing and such. But I mean, we focus on making sure that these reservoirs are full, and we hustle down to any fire we can.
And you haven't come into any difficulties in the past 4 months since we've been here?
He says, "Oh, it's like you're talking about Naratokai-sama's death."
I'll just.
That's
literally
right.
do that.
You are be the ones who replaced him.
Yes.
My condolences, and I feel your pain. He says, "I got my position as well because of a murder."
Fortunately, it seems too common in the city.
Yeah, talk about it. But no, we haven't had too many problems. I mean, there's some issues at the little gate every now and again, but the Thunder Guard handle that. That's not for for us to take care of.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Who got murdered in order for you to get promoted?
And he says the little gate fireman had a previous leader. Unfortunately, he was killed, and I took over once he was gone.
Accidents do happen, I suppose.
And he says, I wish that this had been an accident. Instead, it's something that has scared us.
What's that?
And he said, the ninja.
Oh, the ninja.
Heard stories about this ninja. What did he do?
I know Naratokai-sama was fighting against the ninja, something we all appreciated. But the ninja were showing up, threatening people, stealing from people, and they were the ones who murdered my predecessor.
And so we haven't heard much about that since we got in the office, right?
You guys have stuff in the dossier about the ninja, but
we haven't.
In game, we haven't addressed it too much.
There hasn't been like any news.
No, nobody's been talking about it.
Yeah, so Kaio will then say, oh, well, hopefully that threat's been put to rest with Naratokai. Seems like you haven't had any problems in that regards.
He says, well, we hear stories now and again. It's tough to take them with. It's tough not to believe them at times. People get real scared. I know after my predecessor was killed, the Naratoki and his deputies, and he looks at Ample and he's like, oh. And Naratoki-sama and his deputies executed two men who they found to be ninja. Both of them were just criminals, but it's still stories about. It's tough to lose those stories about the ninja and how spooky they can be.
I'm not for a ghost story. Tell us one.
Yeah, it's hard to forget sometimes that they're ghost stories.
You got a ghost story, Hiroshi?
He says, I don't personally, but I mean...
Have you heard? Maybe tell us one that you've heard?
I mean, aside from my predecessor being murdered?
That's a pretty good one.
When you say ninja, is it ninjas? Or one ninja? The ninja?
Oh,
Naratokai-sama executed two men. Three men for after my predecessor was killed, he executed 2 men.
That's true. Earlier.
And there were several others that he had executed as well. And I know that some of the other firemen have run into them as well. We've been on the lookout for that sort of thing and chased some folks off here and there, and victims have claimed they were the ninja, but I'm not sure.
And how's your relation with the other groups of firemen?
Oh, I mean, I mainly stay around here. It's such a nice area. It sounds like you are trying to read this guy. Mm-hmm. Go for it.
That's sagacious, right?
Mm-hmm.
8.
8 isn't terrible.
I'll hold 1. So, do you or any of your men know anything about anything else about this Naratokai's death at all? Do you think because he was killed here, right?
Yeah, he was killed in the downhill here.
Yeah, so, or do you have any suspicions on what could have happened or what could have killed him?
Whoever. I mean, my first thought would be the ninja. He went after him pretty hard. He was arresting him, and I mean, not a lot of them. Most of those that got arrested were executed.
It's true.
And Ample goes, yeah. And if it wasn't them, it'd have to be somebody pretty darn powerful and important. Because honestly, with the exception of the ninja, pretty much everybody liked that guy.
Was your predecessor particularly hard on, not crime, but was he particularly invested? Because I know you've been saying that generally your firefighters take care of the fires while you let the Thunder Guard take care of the crime after they show up. Was your predecessor different in this respect?
I mean, if there's some kind of neighborhood problem, we'll try to take care of it. We live here,
of course,
and we don't want to see people get robbed and that kind of stuff. But we know that we're not the cops of the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. If there's some kind of dilemma, we might deal with it. I'd say my predecessor maybe was into that a little bit more so than myself, but
so you don't.
I'd say by this time you guys are back at that sake house.
Yeah, and so you don't think. Or you just think that the ninja did it and no one else?
I mean, they had definitely killed people before. And, again, they had a reason to want to kill him.
Yeah, and I guess you do know the neighborhood the best. So, is your character telling the truth?
Oh, yeah.
What, that he's telling the truth that he thinks the ninja did it?
So he thinks, like he said, he thinks the ninja did it, or it would have to be somebody real, real powerful, because everybody liked this guy.
All right. Okay, that's not really... Okay. Slightly different.
I noticed that these firemen around here are a little different than the others. The other firemen are just plain lazy.
I don't know if they're lazy.
But your firemen, they seem pretty attentive.
He says, well, I don't think they're any less attentive, but, you know, we have a lot of really nice, there's a lot of really nice folks here. There's a lot of really nice places here. The Little Gate's right there. The Noble Quarter's right there. If there are any problems, we're going to hear about it. So we try to do our best.
What are some recent problems?
Sounds like you're trying to read this guy.
Yeah.
What is it? 7?
Is it 7?
Yeah.
All right, so you get one question.
My question is...
Some recent problems? Well, I mean, hate to keep beating the same drum here, but I mean, my predecessor and your predecessor did get killed here. Those have been the biggest problems as far as I'm concerned.
Of course.
I mean, yeah, these ninja have been bugging people now and again.
But not for the last few months.
It's been quieter, but I can tell you there were some folks who've made some accounts of being robbed or being threatened.
What does Hiroshi wish the Emerald Magistrates to do?
He doesn't really like people smoking opium. And so he'll bring that up and be like, yeah, you know, every now and again somebody will have opium or they'll be selling opium, and usually, you know, we'll chase them out of here, that kind of thing. We'll tell the Thunder Guard. It's not a big problem, but it's not something I like going on.
Has there been an uptick of that in the recent months? I'm sure you heard a illegal opium warehouse recently burned down in the fisherman quarter not too far from here.
Like, that sounds kind of familiar.
There was a fire.
I saw half the city burning.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was supposed to be a big fire where you could see it.
massive.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember you could see the plume of smoke across the bay.
It's just been like a couple days since that, right?
What do you think? Is it a couple of days? Is it a month?
That just changes my questions as well.
Couple days?
Okay.
A week?
So
It'll
I have
be-
no more.
Sure. It's been a week or two. Split the difference.
There we go.
There you go. Has there been less of this opium crisis since that event, or would you say that generally you see just as many peddlers as normal?
It's not a super regular occurrence. It's not something I run into every day. But when we see it, we try to get those folks out of here.
Good to know. Good to know.
Do you document these reports that you get of ninja?
It's like, I mean, we'll usually tell the
Well, that's from 4 months ago.
yeah. We'll usually we'll tell the Thunder Guard if we think there's something to it. But again, it's tough to think that these folks are just. It's tough to think that these folks are just folks dressed up in black. It seems like there's something more, and honestly, to a lot of folks, it seems they're not sure if they should go forward. They're half too scared and half too embarrassed.
Could I ask you if you get further reports to bring them to the Capitol?
Sure, you know, if we walk just down such and such road, we could talk to somebody who said that they got shaken down a little while ago.
That could work.
Sure. And so, you guys go to just a store. This person sells. Oh, they sell like a paper. So they just sell like fancy paper.
Dunder Mifflin.
Yeah, exactly. Dunder Mifflin. Michael Scott Sama. And they just sell like all kinds of fancy paper. And they'll if Hiroshi kind of like gets into it, they'll say, "Oh yeah, like my wife and I live above this place, and we heard someone at
Hiroshi does, or
the merchant, the paper merchant says we heard someone at the window, and when I went to look, the person grabbed me and like held some kind of knife to me and said that if I didn't leave X amount of money on this windowsill, that essentially I was gonna, that I'd come to regret it and see exactly what kind of terrible things could happen to me and my family
And when was this?
He'll say it was 2 weeks ago.
That's the day of the fire.
It's all coming together.
So intimately connected. Everything happens exactly in 1 week intervals.
In a room about this size.
And so, did you deliver that money?
So he says, I don't know. I told Hiroshi, and some of the guys looked out, apparently like watched this window, and they said they didn't see anybody show up.
So they never collected the money?
Right.
Very ninja-like. All right.
And were you injured at all?
He's like, I was scared.
Does that count as an injury? No, sorry. All right. And were you able to see how they were dressed? Did they have an accent?
It's like, oh, they were... I don't remember the accent per se. I mean, I didn't notice a particular accent.
So probably someone from the city?
Yeah, maybe. They were wearing a black mask covering their face.
He said it was a knife, not a katana or a sword or anything.
No, not a sword, but some kind of knife.
See any other equipment?
Oh, I don't know. They're wearing a mask for sure.
Did you consult the kami or anything?
I don't know if they answer questions like that. Usually they answer with feelings and riddles. But we already have a riddle. It was like 2 weeks ago?
It was about 2 weeks ago.
That's not super recent, so I don't think this particular move would help. I could try and see if they have any input to seek the wisdom of the kami.
What do you know anything of ninja? Is that like a supernatural creature?
I think all of you know that ninja are like boogeymen.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. Like, oh, like that's essentially what you guys know about. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like supernatural, theoretically.
Right, but there's some kind of magical boogeyman.
Yeah, so did they teach you anything extra in your priestly studies or anything?
Nah.
Okay.
I don't think they're that supernatural.
What, this ninja?
For ninjas in the world.
No, I mean...
Well, I'm hoping... It seems like these are just petty criminals in masks, but...
Yeah, it's pretty much what these are.
Hoping,
overall.
I was hoping maybe if there's any concrete signs of ninja that we could rule that out at least.
If ninja are as highly skilled as is rumored, it would make sense with the level of complication that Narutokai's murder involved.
Sure. Maybe I'll say this quieter so only we can hear it. I'm also worried about that, whatever creature that was that you two, Yugure and Ishii, encountered a few nights or a month or two ago.
Indeed, that was a significant danger, but I doubt it has a relationship to our current situations.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm going to see if the spirits have anything to say about this. I'm going to ask for guidance.
All right.
Whoa.
Not bad.
I got
Boxcars.
14.
Okay, it's an okay roll.
It's alright.
Barely got it.
Alright, well then... I don't know if I need to ask 3 as the move suggests, but mostly I want to know where can I find what I seek. keeping more clues to.
Am I right to assume that, like, in this setting, ninjas are just like they're like ghosts? They're not like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
no,
they're more viewed as like ghosts and boogeymen.
Yeah.
Supernatural.
So you're you speak with the kami, and you hear like a whisper on the wind. You're kind of praying for a while over in the corner of this stranger's house, like near the window, looking out the window. And you hear a whisper on the wind that draws your attention to the northern area of. I'm going to double check on that, if that is the case. The northern area of the temple quarter, known as the Small Holies.
Yeah. So I'll basically say, hey guys, I got this spiritual tingling that says in my little holies.
Oh God, everything's great. Love it.
We may find more clues there.
Okay.
I can't be more specific, but I believe that all will be revealed in time.
You sure you can't be more specific?
Yeah, we should
Two more
probably just
questions?
go there.
Do you have to ask them now?
I don't know what else I would even ask out of it. I mean, I guess what is hidden from me? Maybe there's more evidence still here.
Ooh, what is hidden from you?
The ninja reappears behind you.
Still there?
Yeah.
I've been here this whole time. Nobody was even looking.
I don't know how you get this, so I'm going to tell you, and you can tell me how you get this from elemental spirits.
Okay.
Perfect.
The complicity of power.
Oh. The complicity of power. I can't believe I missed that. Whose power? Is it?
I don't think it specifies that part.
Is it pertaining to this
To the situation you're asking about.
situation, but not a particular place? All right. It's probably a void kami. They have those, right?
Yeah. Which doesn't make a ton of sense in this storyline whenever you read the stuff that explains it. It's like, void is the nothingness and everything in between. And also, there are void ghosts. Alright, sure.
Maybe I see myself in the mirror, but it's like a shadowy version of myself, and then I realize it's a kami being tricky, looking back at me. But the self that I saw was a version of me who's just complicit in power. And maybe I realize that I am responsible of that in the opium situation. Like, just by letting it go on.
Okay.
And then I realized that same concept could be applicable here as well. But I don't know how yet. Just that it could.
Do any other questions seem helpful?
I don't know. I mean, what is the will of the gods in this situation?
Gotta solve this crime, baby.
Yeah, I like that one to set up my other move.
The gods want you to deal with this and the far darker thing behind it.
Oh. Yeah, guys, we really need to check out the little holies.
Say that one more time.
Holies cannolis.
Deidre says, check out the little holes.
E.
So, what are the little holies?
The Small Holies is the area in the north of the temple quarter. So it is this area up here. It is the area north of the Temple of Daikoku. So the area north of the Temple of Daikoku is known as the Small Holies. And unlike the other part, because there's only two...
The big holies? Or is it...
There's only two...
The average-sized holies?
Neighborhoods in the Temple Quarter. Daikoku's Shadow, and then the Small Holies.
And
the Small
one
Holies,
of those way better named.
Small Holies has no... Well, the thing about it is there are no large temples there at all. Like, everything is, like, very small buildings. Wholly so. As in entirely.
I see. Wow.
But it's spelled like holy.
It's not feeling that good about Hiroshi, but okay.
You're not feeling good about him?
No, I'm pretty sure they're complicit with the ninja. Because why else would the ninja kill their leader and then not a month later infiltrate the magistrate's mansion after she had killed off maybe the old leader of the ninja? Because she executed a ninja, and for 7 months they didn't do anything.
Are you talking about Narutoki?
Yeah, Narutoki.
So he executed some of the ninja for sure.
Sorry, I always say it's a sheep something.
So I think that there probably have been stuff going on based on what Hiroshi said, but maybe just hasn't been coming to you.
Oh no! I mean, this is back 2 months after Narutoki started. He killed a ninja. 7 months after that, the ninja didn't do anything. Like, they did very little. Then after that, they started back up again. They killed the old leader of the Little Gate. Then Hiroshi took over. Then they infiltrated the magistrate's mansion. Then Narutokai started Then Narutokai started really going after them, like way more than she was before. Like, she and 30 deputies did a raid on the Teardrop Island to get Ninja and the whole shebang.
Yeah, 30 deputies? How many deputies we got?
I know, we got ample. But anyway, so that's what I'm saying. Narutokai and the ninja had a thing against each other. And...
Is Ample with you guys?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. He didn't like those guys.
Exactly. I didn't like them at all.
Is Hiroshi still with us?
No,
Again, you guys can
that's
be
why
at
we
another
left.
place, yeah.
That's why I was saying,
So you can be
that
back at the
sake house
magistrate
ain't gonna work.
residence or at another sake house or walking and talking.
Yeah, I probably told you guys about that void kami experience.
The company said complicity in power or some shit?
Yeah, and specifically that it was hidden from us, right?
The thing that had been hidden was complicity in power.
The complicity of power.
Complicity of power. But we don't know anything other than that, really.
I thought you said, what did the kami wish us to do or something? And they're like, deal with the problem and the evil power behind it.
Right. But we don't know specifics related to any of that.
Probably the people that are...
That's probably a good start.
that dabble in the mystic arts. Like Baronado.
So now we have to find out who would have the most to gain from Narutokai's death in the upper echelons of Ryoko Owari.
Well, and if it was these ninja, which just seem like petty criminals, who is least wealthy, if they're utilizing these people.
That's true.
Or the criminals could just be, if there's rumors of ninja, maybe they just put on a black mask and are extorting money too.
That could be it, actually.
But anyway, I guess we can check out the little holy.
Small holies.
I don't know. I feel like, would we go right there? At what time? Is it like the middle of the afternoon?
Yeah. Okay.
I'd say it's probably, it's around noon. I would say you guys look out at that Seven Corners intersection, and it's absolutely like jam-packed with people, making it worse. So it's 6 different streets that intersect with one another, and then there's also a footpath that goes through it as well. And so like there's people kind of really, it's just a super crowded, clogged intersection. And what makes it worse is that there are vendors who show up and then try to sell stuff to people as they're hanging around and waiting. And then also theoretically samurai are given preference to go first, so it further slows the process down. So for you guys, you can move through much quicker than a peasant, and let alone a peasant with like a cart. But yeah, well, I'll say it's only noon. You guys could easily get over there and do that stuff. The Small Holies is the area in the north where you find temples to the patron fortunes of sake brewers and jade carvers, along with shrines of the kami and ancestors of families from outside Ryoko Owari. It's filled with all kinds of shrines and temples and that kind of stuff that are much, much smaller, much less ostentatious than obviously Daikoku's temple or the Temple of Amaterasu, much smaller than shrines to families from certainly within the city itself, and families that come from within the city. So I don't know if I said that properly. It doesn't have a lot of very big buildings. It has lots of these kind of like small street side shrines and temples. Pretty small. But there are also houses here. There are also people that live in this area that take care of this stuff. There are kind of like more local merchants that deal with stuff just in this area as well. So that's the deal. This, compared to the other areas, is much less impressive. Off in the distance, of course, you can see the Temple of Daikoku, kind of significantly hovering above the area.
Okay.
Well, I want to look around then.
All right. Sounds like you need to read a situation.
I want to find something mystical or just a clue about ninjas.
I call those ninja clues where I come from.
I'll start by rolling a read a situation roll.
All right.
Makes sense.
Plus stag. Over there. 9. I guess what should I be on the lookout for? I don't even know the answer to that.
Ooh.
I just knew I was supposed to come to the Little Holies.
What should you be on the lookout for? Yeah, this is a tough one because you guys are kind of coming in that you know there's something in this neighborhood, but this neighborhood probably houses hundreds of people.
Dozens of, hundreds of people.
There's more.
There's a dozen people here. So, and
Some people in this neighborhood, it's a big city. But
yeah, and so you know that there are hundreds of people in just this area, let alone the fact that there were people who would come through to visit these temples or shrines or that kind of stuff.
Hopefully those papers were checked on all of them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people here, and kind of where to start is pretty darn tough. But
The A's.
Can we start in the north?
you guys know that you're asking what should you be on the lookout for.
Yeah.
You would assume that if you were told to watch out for this area, that possibly people here might be more likely to have seen ninja or have dealt with ninja, like these ninja, than other people. Because if you're being pointed to this area, that would kind of make sense. The one big thing that you think that you should do is nighttime would probably be useful. So, you should be on the lookout for other folks who have perhaps seen this or seen ninja or heard about ninja, as it would possibly be more likely that they would encounter folks here.
Well, my friends, perhaps we can ask around and see if anyone has seen any ninja or have tales to tell regarding them. But it occurs to me now that we've arrived that perhaps nighttime would have been a better opportunity.
Well,
Although the people probably won't be as up for as many questions once night falls. So any questioning we should do perhaps now.
is there like a main place here?
All questions answered. The big sign that says that.
That's gonna. I guess let's just start knocking on temple doors.
Maybe the biggest of the little
They're
holes.
like priests for all these places, right?
There are some of the larger of these small temples might have like a priest or two or a monk, really like a monk or two who kind of devote themselves to kind of the upkeep of this place. Other places might just be shrines that folks come and leave offerings to, and people come and take care of it when it's necessary.
If there were a problem here, who would these people go to?
The Thunder Guard are still around. Like, the Thunder Guard are out and about through the area. But the,
So like a little holy firefighter.
So you guys could ask around about the firefighters and the small holies.
Sure.
Alright. So if you ask one of the Thunder Guard, it'll be like, oh yeah, probably... Oh, the Temple Road Firemen.
Oh.
Temple Road Firemen.
What's a good name for them? TRFs, as they call themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see any of them about?
Maybe the same Thunder Guard can point you to like where they hang out, and it's kind of like, oh, is there a fire somewhere? Thunder Guard was like, what's wrong?
No, we're Emerald Magistrates. Just tell us where they are.
And he's like, oh,
I'm so tired of this fucking Thunder Guard.
yeah.
Fucking Thunder Guard, fucking bitch.
So, yeah, he can point you to. He can point you to, yeah, there's like a sake house where some of these guys hang out.
Holy sake.
Before we go, has there been any ninja attacks in the last 4 months?
Have you seen any violence or anything? Specifically ninja related?
Random ass guard.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I remember hearing some stuff about the ninja, but not too recently. I mean, violence, yeah, there'll be crimes every now and again, but that's not. I mean, we got that. You guys don't need to worry about that little stuff.
Thanks. I'm just gonna start walking towards the socket. The minute he falters and was like, "Bye," I'm like, "All right, thank you, bye."
Yeah.
Thunderguard, man. Can't deal with him no more.
So,
I hope the sheriff is the complicit power just because I fucking hate these Thunder Guard. Wait, is she in charge of them or is it the governor's son?
That's the governor's son.
yeah, Jocho is.
Jojo.
In charge of
Jojo, that bitch.
But you've mostly seen them following her instructions. All right, so you get to this. And it's just called the Temple Road Sake House.
Ah, nice little soccer house.
Why not? It'll be real easy.
That's what they're named after.
And, yeah, and that's what they are named after. And you see an image of just like the kanji that's just the word pray outside the place. So it'll say Temple Road Sake House, and most of these signs are fairly discreet. They're not big signs. It's pretty much had to know where it is to find it. Is most of these places throughout a lot of Ryoko Owari. In some areas of the Merchant Quarter, that's not the case, but in a lot of the nicer areas of Ryoko Owari, signs are very demure. And this is one of those kind of places. And so you see a few guys who are kind of hanging around outside. Not very many. There's some guys that are playing dice. So you guys get there, and maybe some of them have that like little mon-esque thing that says that kanji that says "pray" kind of on their clothing.
Does anyone look like they're in charge here?
If you talk to these guys, or if you read a situation, you can probably.
Who's in charge here?
Like, oh, hey, hello.
Hello.
I didn't see you on top of this barrel.
Yeah, sorry, it's on this. We were really into this game. Sorry. Oh, hello, and they kind of bow, like kind of curtly, like, oh, hey.
I see you're part of the Temple Run Fire Guard.
Oh, yes. But how? Yes.
Do you have a captain or?
Oh, sure. Is there a fire? I don't see any smoke.
The fire and the law of the Emerald Magistrates.
Yeah, no emergency or
We
anything.
to talk to him
We just are trying to get
on an
more
imperial
acquainted.
business.
Oh.
I was saying like opposite thing.
Yeah.
I just
I could
walk
see it.
over like, who's in charge?
I can see if I'll see if he's in. Hold on.
I appreciate it.
One of the guys goes in.
phone.
Yeah. He pages him. Goes inside. And he's in there for a little while. Eventually, this guy who's kind of dressed pretty nice. He's balding. He's middle-aged. He kind of comes out. He walks a little... swaggers a little bit, and then when he sees you guys, he kind of stops and he bows and he's like, "Oh, come on in. I'm Amori."
Nice to meet you, Mamori. We'll follow this man in. Is
Oh,
everything
please come on in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just going.
Sorry, I was thinking Amore, pray, now we need to eat.
So it's Emori,
Oh, that's not how I spelled that.
Yeah, that's not how I spell that shit.
almost Emery, and he's like I said, I'm the captain of the Temple Road Firemen, and how can I help you, good gentlemen?
Well, we've been following up news of ninja attacks, and our investigation led us to these humble streets. I don't know if you would happen to have any information that you could share with us.
And he says, "Oh, well, I can tell you that we seek to keep these streets a safe place from fires and from other such nonsense shenanigans."
Has there been any violent crimes or anything reported to you? Or have you caught word of any?
And he says, "Oh, I think you. I mean, if there were violent crimes that we knew about, we would definitely report them to the Thunder Guard."
Oh, absolutely. But with how diligent you are, I'm sure that you would hear about them first.
I discovered what they had as the motif for the mon that these guys wear.
What is it?
It's a bell. So rather than pray, it's a bell.
I like pray better.
That's what you do when you pray in
It's such a
Japan.
good about joke.
When you pray in Japan, you go to the shrine, you ring the bell.
Yeah, so they have a bell.
Yeah, eat bell.
Bell love.
So have you?
I'm sorry, I forgot your question. I saw that they had bells.
This tea is so good.
Since you're so diligent and do patrols, have you heard any violent things? You would hear them faster than the Thunder Guard or something like that.
Oh, but nothing. There's crime here and there, but nothing that stands out. Oh, excuse me. As I said, this is a
very
pretty safe
late.
neighborhood. My apologies for that belch.
Some of the Bell clan.
Yeah, the bell. Hey, damn it, you beat me to it.
Does it seem like he's telling the truth?
Are you reading him?
Sure.
You go for it.
A 12.
A 12. So, Yeah, he seems like he's telling the truth. He doesn't seem to have experienced any real, like, significant violence. You know, so like I said, there's problems here or there, but this is a good, peaceful neighborhood, and we've helped to keep that up. We can't have our ancestors and the Fortunes living in a ratty neighborhood.
No, of course not. Of course not. But there hasn't been any, like, gangs of troublemakers or anything recently. Even not especially violent. Just, like a gang of, not kids, but rowdy people. Has anybody like that moved here recently or started hanging around here recently in, say, the past 4 or 5 months?
Especially in the northern part of the neighborhood.
He says, not to my knowledge. Things have been pretty peaceful.
Alright, I got this. You seem pretty finely dressed for a fireman for such a small temple area. So, where does all this money come from?
He says, well, we get our stipend from the governor to make sure that we protect the area from fires, and other people will certainly gifts come often when you help to protect their ancestors' shrines from fires.
Any of these ancestors pay more than the others? Like, significantly more?
Ooh.
That's actually an interesting question.
I'm wondering how weird it is he thinks that you're asking him about money.
He probably thinks it's super weird.
Yeah, I think he's like, well, people, I mean, shouldn't we all be devoted to our ancestors?
Yeah, I want to pay my respects.
So, I mean, if one group is more...
I want to be efficient about it and pay my respects to the biggest one.
One group is more devoted than another. Is all.
So it sounds like you're reading him now, Aji.
So you got it.
And he's like, well, we all want to make sure that our ancestors are well looked after, and that their memories are upheld. And we do our very best.
I've got a question. What's the character really feeling?
He feels very unsure of himself. He's not used to dealing with Emerald Magistrates for sure. He's trying to put on that he's a real big shot, but he's not super sure of himself.
So we're like here?
It's in the northern part of this, yeah. This
So, Maury,
northern diamond.
How long have you had your current position?
For a while. A number of units of time.
Okay, so you've been at it for
years.
A while.
Mm-hmm.
Dozens of units.
One might say I'm the only one anyone of notice remembers doing this.
Well then.
Yes.
So the kami told you that we should seek something in the north of this neighborhood, right?
This should be where I could find more clues regarding the intruder.
Okay.
So it may be a better hunting ground at night.
How could I get your character to tell us useful information? Is that something I can do?
Sure.
I'm gonna get you useful.
Yeah.
This guy wants to be a big shot. That's his deal. He's in charge of these firemen, but he wants to be a big shot.
Okay. All right. Maybe let's do it. So maybe just considering him for a moment, just his fancy clothes and everything that he probably doesn't need to wear.
That's really not gonna fight fires on a nice kimono.
Yeah. So as Emerald Magistrates, we have to talk to the Emerald Champion regularly, and I think since there's been no, violence here under your protective eye. I think that if we're all in agreement, I think we should tell the Emerald Champion what a great job you've been doing, Emery. I think maybe the Emperor himself might hear it.
Sounds like a manipulate roll.
Oh, sure.
But what do you want from this guy?
We're trying to prove that he's a big shot, so he'll trust us to tell us.
Okay,
something.
so you're trying to get him to trust you.
You're trying to get him to be like, oh, these are my buddies.
Sure.
I don't get it.
He's trying to seduce with power.
What is no, in character, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you don't.
What does he see in this guy?
You just said, I don't
No,
know.
but I'm probably looking with the look on my face, like, what?
What are you doing there, Tygo?
Really bad at including vice into these.
His vice is power.
That's fine. Still got 12.
All right. So he's like,
Real good. Never going to level up.
The Emerald Champion, the Emperor, hearing about me? Oh, when he rubs his bald head and he's like, kind of like perspires a little, and he's like, oh,
we're as diligent as we need to be here. After all, we are guarding the fortunes and the ancestors. This is a holy undertaking.
Absolutely. And I hope if you have any complications that you'll let us know as soon as possible.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, kid.
And he says, oh, the moment I hear anything, I'll send a messenger straight away to you.
All right. So, basically, that's all he can do.
Yeah, so this is he'll send you the stuff in the future, but at the moment,
All right.
he doesn't have anything from you.
Well, that's cool.
For you.
We'll just come back at night. I don't say that out loud to him, but...
What is Ishii's kind of what does he do at night when he can't sleep?
He probably practices, I would guess.
Okay.
Like he's in whatever, a little practice ring.
I'd say that the magistrate residence probably has a dojo.
That's what I'm saying.
And there's no way that Matsu Shigeko, the previous magistrate, had not put that in there. So I'll say that the two places the three things of hers that you could see that are there are the meeting room that's fairly austere, this dojo.
And that's the one that's still alive, right? This lady?
Yes, but she retired. She was the magistrate before Narutoki.
Yeah. I was remembering we should talk to her sometime. I don't think we did, right?
No.
That's something I remembered between games and forgotten so right now. Anyway, keep going.
At this moment.
You gotta come out of retirement.
He's really doing pretty bad with this whole...
Yeah.
finding things out thing.
All right, so the third thing is that she planted a particular tree in the garden.
Is that one that you talked about the first time?
Probably.
Oh, yeah,
It's
that's
this
a
really
tree.
beautiful red tree. But yeah, so you're in the dojo. And you're probably kind of training.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you're not necessarily all in your armor, but kind of in your not your night clothes, but your night kimono. And you're kind of going through katas. It's autumn at this point, so it's definitely fall. But you guys, it's particularly cold tonight. And even though the walls of this building are thick, and the place has lots of there are fireplaces in a lot of the rooms. I don't know if there is one in here.
Probably not.
But I'll say that it's very cold in here as you're training. Mm-hmm. You kind of see your breath as you're running through this kata, and you're starting to sweat, so it's making you even colder.
Grabbing horses.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Could you make a bless roll for me?
That sounds like ghost
Or
thing.
bless
I'm
ed.
forgetting to tell you things about this, my thoughts about this. I keep on...
Oh, not a bad roll. You hear the wind kind of whistle kind of past you, and some of there's probably a window. Is there a window in here?
In the dojo?
Yeah.
Probably not, but probably
Okay.
it's probably close to the garden.
Okay, so there's
In like the hallway outside or something.
Maybe that could... Let's say that door is closed. And so there's a little bit of like moonlight that kind of shines in here through that like rice paper wall to the garden. But there's some candles that you have lit. And maybe some of the candles like first of all, the wind blows through and you're like, odd, I'm inside. And like some of the candles go out and now it's just kind of lit by the moonlight through the like shoji screen or whatever the paper walls are called. And, you're able to hear like a voice kind of come through, and the figure is still in shadow, or at least in shadowed areas, like where you're hearing this from. And you just hear, another murder. Nothing is done. Another murder in the city sits by. Your comrades sit by, and you sit by.
This is a city that doesn't want to be saved, but that doesn't mean that I'm not trying.
And you hear you hear, ready yourself. And go ahead and make a battle roll.
Yep.
Oh, damn.
Well, that's 11.
11. All right. So, all right. Out of this kind of shadow comes this tall figure that's kind of bathed in darkness. That's running towards you with like what seems like an incredibly long katana or a nodachi, and they're kind of like charging right straight towards you.
Oh, Jesus. Well, I'm going to like dodge out of the way and try to get him from behind.
Sure. So
Try to not roll out of the way because I'm literally a giant, but...
All right. So I'm going to work some of this a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But what are the things that you want to take from that?
Suffer little harm, impress, dismay, or frighten, and then seize what I want, which is like their... I guess they're like a shade or a phantom. Mm-hmm. So that their purpose.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, that's their motivation?
Yeah. So I think that you, this huge, almost nodachi kind of comes down, and again, everything seems like it's like the darkness just kind of leapt forward towards you. Mm-hmm. And the figure that stands before you as you like kind of like move out of your way, the same figure kind of wheels around very, very fast and with a lot of strength. And the blade that they have kind of crashes into yours, and instead of hearing the usual clang kind of noise of steel hitting steel, instead you just feel like that wind kind of just shake the shoji screen walls, and maybe the candlesticks that were there or some items that you had are knocked over as like this big like force of wind kind of pushes things, and you see that it's the face of Matsu Fukushu.
Yes.
The woman who you saw executed just a month or two ago.
I thought as much, yes.
And, their intent. This shade, I like that you use that term, this shade wants you to act and wants you to seize the moment to do something about the corruption in the city. And so you two do that thing where you're like super close to each other's faces, and the two blades are between you. But again, the blade that she has, it seems like ethereal.
Yeah. Yes.
And she says, your arms are strong. Your back is you know how to use this blade. Keep it. You're the one who can do this. You're the one who can stop this.
I've only just discovered how deep this corruption has taken a hold on this city.
Yeah, and I think she pushes back with the blade, and so like you kind of slide back, and she also, I think she slides back literally as if it was like as if the floor were greased, and she just like pushes and moves back. Because again, this is it's a spook. But so
I'm spooked.
Yeah,
I'm pretty spooked. Yeah.
And she says, "You see this wicked growing in this garden. You can pull it out, chop this down. I don't care how big is your enough. You can do it. She's like, if this is a stain on this city, there is only one thing that can wash out this stain, and that is the blood of guilt."
Promise to bring the Emperor's justice, and blood is not enough for him.
And you remember back to the stories you guys had heard, and when you first years ago were led to investigate, and I think we have like a little flashback where you were led to investigate that battlefield. Mm-hmm. And how you and your men kind of looked around, and Matsu Fukushi was leading that like lion force after she got that battlefield promotion. And one of the stories that you had heard were stories of blood and stories of cruelty and stories of like unspeakable acts being committed. Mm. And
I see.
Yeah, and so you kind of like
crabs love that, right?
it flashes back to her, and she kind of like readies her weapon. She says, "The Emperor's justice courage. The Emperor's justice demands vengeance for those who have wronged him and have the honor of his realm." Have at you! And she runs at you again. And rather than doing another battle roll, I want you to made that first one. I think this is just scenery then. So like the two of you kind of like clash again a few times. There's a few like swings where each of you can kind of like duck out of the way or dodge out of the way of each other's blades. But you end up kind of on the opposite ends of the thing again. Or, even more dramatic, I think when your blades do clash again, the wind blows the shoji screens open, not like blows them out, but they do open up, and the two of you end up in the garden. And so now the two of you are doing this in the garden and not the dojo, and so like more light is cast on her. Mm-hmm. And
Spashita blade.
Yeah. And you see that she looks very, you're able to see more of her in like the moonlight, and all her hair has turned white. All of the clothes that she's wearing are white, like the color usually associated very much with like death. And she
had a big crazy mane, I assume.
Yeah, but it's all white, and you see like where she had worn like lion mon on some of the stuff. Like when you first saw her, like years ago, it's been like torn from her like kimono. So like some of what she's wearing is like ratty and ragged, and like when you're out there and the direct moonlight is behind her, you can see that a small amount of it goes between where her body is and where her head is, where she's been beheaded. Mm-hmm. And she says, if you want the strength, I can give you that strength. You know that closest to the veins of a samurai, and together we can what is necessary on this city. With the strength of our combined, we can destroy this curse. We can purify it. We can be the blood that lets this city finally live. Go ahead and make another blessed roll.
Yeah, I'm making another blessed roll, but I don't think this one's going to go as well.
Did you sneeze?
Ooh, that's pretty bad.
Is that another miss?
That is a miss, actually.
I think she like reaches out to you, and you realize what's going on, but you realize it may be a little too late as she like reaches out. And you remember back to like the discussions with your men those years ago and why you wanted to investigate that. And it was like, well, you know what those evil spirits always want. They always want blood. Mm. And so when you look back, like you see that like it is a terrifying visage of this woman. And it reaches out to you. You got to make a love roll. That's the thing. Gotta make a serious love roll, baby.
That does make sense.
What's your love again?
Ghost. No, for success.
My love is combat. Success in combat, which this does make sense. This is an issue that I'm going to have to...
What's success in combat?
So, am I not supposed to roll high?
I think this is when you're not supposed to roll high.
Oops.
You reveal your love, you're given to it.
I'll probably have to get into it. I can just reveal it to a fucking ghost.
Finally a worthy foe.
The entire city. Hey. I feel like that's...
What'd you roll?
Rolled an 8.
I thought you rolled an 8. I thought you rolled a 10. Okay.
Oh god, Jesus, chill. I don't roll no 10s. I'm not that high.
Okay, so yeah, you choose it, I believe.
I almost feel like I have to.
Write poetry?
Nah, probably not that. I pretty much probably have to go immediately to the object of your love side. Abandon your allies or current duties.
Ooh, so what does that look like in this situation?
That's pretty much me, like, giving in to the spirit need for, like, blood against the city and...
Ooh, alright. So yeah.
Giving up my overall duty to the Emperor and focusing on the duty against this opium crisis.
Fold up your overalls and give them to her.
All right. I think that this.
No?
Oh, maybe we see you. So how do we? What is the scene that we see as, like, if this is a TV show, that like the temptation of this is just too good?
I think.
Oh, it's even worse because you know what it is now too.
Yeah, I know. I think we see, like, the short flashback of Ishii being like, "Oh, hey, like, how can I help you with this thing?" Like, and talking to all these people about, like, the opioid crisis and being shut down. Mm-hmm. Everybody being like, no, it's good, we're fine. No, opium's great. So all of this, and then, like, from, like, slightly outside of the garden with, like, no sound, you see, like, Ishii let down his sword and, like, walk towards the spirit.
All right. And you kind of, like, grab the spirit's hand, and I think, ooh, do we see maybe just just one of the last little shots of this is maybe there's just, like, a drop of blood that just hits the ground?
And we fade out.
You guys have discussed that Naritoki was killed.
You alright?
That was my disgust.
Yeah, you guys discussed it.
Yes.
So
You're fired.
Okay.
We're all in one big trench coat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stacked up.
Get off of my shoulders.
You're on top, Amble.
No, I thought I don't know.
First roll brought to you by Pemmican. Pemmican.
Yeah.
It's beef jerky.
That it?
yeah, but worse.
What's that?
I said, yeah, but worse. So I got
Pemmican,
12.
you're gonna want to floss.
Yeah.
And a little bit more than a 2-liter. So it's one of those real big sodas that you get at Sam's Club.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's massive.
So much root beer.
Who's ever going to drink all this work of sweat?
I'll drink all that Dr. Thunder.
Delicious. I don't want this character to be necessarily a big thing, but
kill him.
yeah.
You've served your narrative purpose.
Yeah.
You see the scene from Ghost. It's Whoopi Goldberg controlling your character.
Oh, I thought the pottery scene.
Outside, and on top of a barrel, and they have
They're
something
each
kind of-
standing on a barrel.
Yeah, they're each standing on a barrel and throwing dice down on the ground, and then they get down from the barrel to look at what it was, and then they go, "Oh, drat, you win!" And then they get back on the barrel, and then the guy reaches into his pocket, and they throw the money down on the ground, and they get back off the barrel, they pick it up, they put it in their pocket, they get it back on the barrel, and go, "Another game."
And it was
Sounds
the monk
good.
from the beginning.
And it was the monk from the beginning. Hey, I'm the monk. All right, so I'm trying to do a monkey's reference.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, so
You're fired still.
oh boy,
You're off
my
the squad.
kids, my kids, I hate them. I mean,
One burst of perspiration.
yeah, absolutely.
Squirts like a blowhole.
Yeah. Oh, he found my blowhole secret.
So it's not a place to
Oh, I can't erase that image.
He
Made a terrible mistake.
yeah,
Make it as graphic as possible.
he draws a graphic novel as much as he can.
You can't
Do hands.
Made a terrible mistake.
Yeah.
City of Lies is Toan as Kakita Aji, Brandon as Hidaishi, David as Bayushi Tayo, Andrew as Agasha Yugure, and Austin as your game master. The theme music for City of Lies is Mission of Danger by Lobo Loco.
Sound effects for this episode are from Sound Bible and include Party Crowd and Wind by Mark D'Angelo. This American Dice Ryoko Owari City of Lies uses the City of Lies box set by Greg Stolz, published by Alderac Entertainment Group. The mechanics used is a modified PBTA system by Brendan Taylor of Galileo Games. Join us next time for more This American Dice. Hey everybody, if you could please rate, review, and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcatcher, it would really help This American Dice. And for every 5-star review we receive, we'll read it on air. Join us next week for another episode of This American Dice.